We want to start today, obviously, with the headline about Bob Woodward's upcoming book, Rage, suggesting that the president knew more about COVID-19 than he actually let on. What's your response to that?
Well, I haven't read the book yet, but remember, COVID continued to evolve. The president stopped the flights from China coming in while Joe Biden thought we should keep them going. I was with Dr. Fauci in late January telling me not to wear masks, that going on cruises were still okay. And the real problem is that China lied to us, so we didn't know enough. But I thought the president had always been very open with the American public.
So did he ever mention anything to you in private that he knew more than that?
No, whatever he told me in private, he was saying in public at the same time. Remember, he's doing a press conference every day, and he'd have an update because we'd learn something more about it each day.
Speaking of COVID, let's talk a little bit about the state of California. How do you feel Governor Newsom is handling the reopening of the state?
I think he's failed in a lot of different places. I mean, California is such a big state. One size doesn't fit all. I mean, I'll give you an example. He will say restaurants can open by the size of square footage, but churches cannot. If square footage works for people to have the distance, churches could have that same opportunity. Not all businesses are the same. I think at times he needs to trust people more, lay out very clear guidance, and allow them to keep the ability to have business, but do it in a safe manner.
Have you heard from local businesses?
Oh, quite a few. I mean, I think we're going to see a number of businesses that unfortunately will go bankrupt simply by being denied the ability to have income. And what's so difficult about that, you'll see bigger chains that are allowed to stay open, at Target and others, where they could buy the same product that a small business can't open. I mean, the fairness of it is really difficult.
Do you think we should be moving forward sooner on the reopening here in the state?
Well, I would keep with the science, and I would keep with the size, and I'd keep with the reporting. But I think there's the ability to do it in a different manner, yes.
We know that you worked to bring the surge testing site to Kern County, and it had the ability to do 60,000 tests in a very short time frame. Now, Kern County Public Health says that there were 7,859 completed tests while the site was in operation. Do you consider that a success?
Oh yeah, anytime you're able to open up, especially when we were in a crisis mode, where somebody can go stay in their car, have a test for free, and get the results back in a timely manner, that was an ability for us to get a better handle and not become a very difficult situation for Kern County. The other part too is that we were able to go extend it a little longer and give those supplies actually to the local health facilities as well. So no, that was a big win for all of us.
Do you have any concerns with mail-in voting in the upcoming election? Obviously, that's due to COVID-19.
Look, I think one thing in California we learned by absentee, but an idea that you mail everybody a ballot, they have not cleaned up those rolls. So that has a real fraud problem. I mean, LA County was actually ordered by the courts that they had 1.5 million more people on the rolls than they should have, because they wouldn't clean them up, meaning going through if somebody had moved, if somebody was deceased or others. I was with just a friend in Texas, and he got his absentee ballot from California in Texas. And he says, I've been getting it for the last 6 years. That becomes a real problem. And so those are the concerns that you have. But the one thing I will say, absentees, if you get the absentees, they check it by your signature, make sure you get that vote back in.
Now, a lot of people have been critical of how the president has handled the COVID-19 pandemic. How would you rate the job he's done?
Look, the worst person I would rate in all this is China. China lied to the world. We could have contained it there. They never allowed our doctors or scientists in when we requested that we would send them there. I think stopping those planes coming from China when others told the president not to do it and Joe Biden said we still should, I'd give him a high rating for that. Making the investment when it came to the vaccines and the therapeutics, we're now going to reap the benefit of that in a short amount of time, which will break history forever to get a vaccine this soon. Not shortchanging any of the science that we need or any of the testing, but actually able to speed it up in a productive manner and make the investment in building the dosage, and also making sure they're being built in America, that we have those minerals. I think that is good. But at the end of the day, had China not lied to us, studies have shown that 2/3 of this would have happened, that thousands of lives would have been saved. And that's really the culprit of what I look at and what the problem is.
I want to touch a little bit on the vaccine. You know, Vice President Kamala Harris has said she would not get it if it is coming out sooner rather than later. What would you tell people who do have concerns about a vaccine coming out so quickly?
Look, the thing I would say, it's only coming out quickly because we put the investment in to build the dosages ahead of time. Nothing is being slowed down from the aspects of testing. And the one thing that you have found, even AstraZeneca, they're doing exactly what they should do. One person have gotten sick with theirs, so they stopped it to see where it was. We will not stop and from any standpoint of making sure that this is safe. For Kamala Harris to say that as a U.S. Senator, as a VP nominee, sounds a lot like politics to me. I want to make sure this is safe, but I also want to make sure people that there's a cure for this virus. And there's an opportunity for it. Not mandated, but I will tell you when a vaccine comes, I'll take the vaccine because I trust what's going through. I've seen it firsthand, and I know the safeguards that are put in place.
What was your response to seeing Nancy Pelosi in the salon without a mask? Well, in the salon and without a mask.
Pretty appalling because I work with her often, and I know what she always says about people. You know, leaders should take responsibility. She should have come forward and apologized. But instead, she attacked a single woman owning a small business. That was her answer in taking responsibility, caught on the cameras, showing exactly what she was doing, saying one thing and doing another. How many people have lost their businesses because of what Nancy Pelosi was saying, but she still wanted her hair cut. She didn't even get it cut. She just went in there to get it blown out, but she still didn't wear her mask when she was telling everybody else to.
I want to talk a little bit about the high-speed rail. You've expressed frustration with the delays and the costs. What are your thoughts on it right now?
They should just stop this. The billions of dollars, the overrun, the inefficiency of it, the mismanagement, report after report after report. A new one has just come out. Why wouldn't we spend that money on where we really need it? Why wouldn't we spend it on water infrastructure or highways and others? The worst part about all of this, with all the billions of extra dollars they spend, it won't be high speed. It'll barely be faster than the trains we have today.
We have a couple local cities that are surrounding us that are dealing with the impacts. What would you say to those cities, the smaller infrastructures that are here?
Oh, it's just harming them. It's harmed Kern County. It stopped our ability for a new veterans center because it was going to be in the path. So it got delayed another couple years because of what high-speed rail was doing. That's been a real challenge personally for me in the aspect. And then the mismanagement of it, the lies about how much it would cost and the overruns. And now that we saw the section that they have built haven't met the criteria for the safety requirements we need. And we all know from the very beginning, it won't meet the criteria for the definition of high speed. Why waste more taxpayers' money? Let's put taxpayer money where it actually should be, in infrastructure that would give us a bigger benefit. When it comes to roads, expand Highway 99. Build infrastructure when it comes to water. But every person who rides the high-speed rail has to be subsidized by government. So it's not just the overrun of the cost of high-speed rail itself. Anybody who rides it is going to cost the taxpayers more money.
I want to talk about the protesters that showed up at your home earlier this week. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, unfortunately, they came to my house. Look, I think everybody has a right to protest, come to my office, but to pull up at my house at 4:30 in the morning with the cries and the bullhorns, my wife and daughter are there. They don't know what's going on. They only see from the cameras that cars are pulling up out front. They want to defund the police. They sit in there and talk about their socialist and communist views. That's fine, but do that in a setting that's safe. Because the other thing, too, is my neighbors shouldn't have to put up with that either. I live in a very public street. I live in the first house I ever bought. I have no problem with somebody having a discussion, but I don't think people really want to talk, or they intended to have a discussion with me if they're showing up at 4:30 in the morning.
Well, I do know one of the things that they mentioned was that they were asking for a public in-person town hall. Now, we do know that you hold tele-town halls often, but what about an in-person, whether that's through Zoom, given the COVID?
Well, we know how COVID is today, and were they really requesting a town hall meeting if they were showing up at 4:30 in the morning? Did they call my office? Did they ask to meet? None of that had taken place. They showed up to my office, or to my house, with bullhorns early in the morning, with knowing what's going on across America, claiming it was peaceful, and one of their demands is defund the police. No, I don't think they're being honest, and I don't think they really wanted to have a legitimate conversation. They have a right to protest. They have a right to their voice, but they ought to do it in a right manner, where it is respectful to one another. That's the only thing I would request.
Do you feel like you may eventually have an in-person town hall, whether that's...
Well, I don't think if my churches can't meet in person, I don't think when the science is that with the science going on today, I should have a big town hall meeting. I do phone calls to let people communicate and hear me, communicate through here. I have from social media. I try every outlet that could do it in a safe manner. I look forward to the day that we can do it again, that we defeat this virus. And that's why I think, really, when you talk about Kamala Harris, instead of talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris wants to shut business down again and tell people not to take a vaccine, that's really a backwards look. I want to look at 2021 is going to be so much better, that we're going to defeat this virus, rebuild our economy bigger than ever before, renew the American dream, and restore our way of life so kids are back at school, so we can attend our churches again, so businesses are open, and we have no fear of a virus from China affecting and killing people again.
A couple of sports-related questions. How do you feel about high school sports being pushed back to January?
Well, if that's the appropriate, safe thing to do, yes. I still think the kids should have a right to play the sports. And if we could push it back and still hold it in January, that's fine, as long as they're able to do it.
And we know that you played sports when you were younger. How would you have dealt with a sportsless fall?
You know, it's difficult. If there's a way to do it safely, the camaraderie of the kids together is very important. But you got to do it in a safe manner. First and foremost, to me, the education of the children before the sports. But I know from the kids' point of view and the parents, they should not be penalized for it. But let's find a safe way to be able to do it. That's why if we're able to move forward with therapeutics and vaccines, they can do it by January.
Is there anything else I didn't ask about that is important to share with us today with our viewers?
No, I just know tomorrow is going to be better than today.